What's up, guys? It's your boy, K. Smith. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? And we're back again with another stream to talk about some more WNBA content, to talk about two rookies, to talk about a NBA legend that came out and gave their endorsement on who they believe is the rookie of the year. Now, when we talk about the WNBA, when we talk about the game of basketball, I want to get this off my chest. I feel like everybody's entitled to their opinion. And a lot of times when you're entitled to your opinion, you're able to say what you want to say. And hopefully you have context or evidence that supports your claim into why you believe the things that you believe. But sometimes when you say or state your opinion, that does not always make it reality or really guarantee. I think sometimes we get caught up in people just, oh, that's my opinion, but opinions can be wrong. And a lot of times it takes the bigger person to admit when their opinions are wrong, especially when it comes about certain content or when it comes about certain arguments and when it comes about certain debates. The beauty about sports is sometimes we have stats to back up our context on the reasons why we believe things are true, but also sometimes the stats don't always tell the full story or do a player or players its right justice, because at times it's the thing about stats is it's something that's called the eye test. And when we talk about the eye test, a lot of people can watch the game of basketball or the game of football or just any sports in general, but a lot of people watch, but not a lot of people see. So when we're talking about the game of basketball and when we talk about this conversation that we're about to have, we're talking about a woman in Sue Bird who is a NBA legend, a woman that's seen by her peers who believe that she's probably the greatest passer of all time, a champion, a woman that has had a long tenure in the WNBA, and she's very skilled in the way she ran the offense for the Seattle Storm and finding an open man and being a playmaker. And really, her impact and significance in the league is without saying. And the thing about Sue Bird, when she had this conversation regarding the weekend on stage, it was based on her personal preference, but her personal preference didn't come off as a way of hating on angelreese or hating on Caitlin Clark. It was just based on how she felt, as well as like she didn't try to big up one player to downplay another. She just basically said her statement and the reason why she stated her claim. So a lot of times, once again, when we talk about stats and we talk about numbers, there's a difference between counting stats. There's a difference between analytical stats. This generation, and a lot of people that are covering the game of basketball who like to use and like to pull out plus minus. A lot of times, effective field goal percentage. We talk about per 100% possessions on the basketball court. There's a lot of different things, a lot of analytical stats that people like to use today in the game of basketball. And I would say a lot of times those advanced stats do not always tell the full story, especially if you look at defensive analytics and defensive stats. A lot of times it's a very hard stat to kind of justify somebody's overall impact on the basketball court for the defensive side of the floor. So analytics can be very flawed at times as well. So when we talk about stats and we talk about numbers and things of that nature, sometimes they're true, sometimes they aren't true. But that's why, once again, if you have the ability to watch the game and know what you're watching, if you also was blessed to possibly play the game and have experience on the basketball court, you may have a higher advantage of knowing things or seeing things on the court that the average person may not see. So when we talk about Sue Bird, we're talking about a WNBA legend. We're talking about a player who has an incredible knack for understanding and knowledge on the basketball court. So when she says that she feels that Caitlin Clark is the rookie of the year based on not the numbers, but based on the eye test, that's very important to understand, because she says she doesn't look at the stats in comparison. She doesn't even look at win count or win losses. She lets her eyes dictate what she believes and what she feels. She leads with her eyes because she's leading with her knowledge. She's leading with her overall basketball ability that she used to have, and also just her experience in general and playing on the basketball court. And a lot of times, this is why when there's a big gap when it comes to the media and when it comes to players. A lot of times, the media and people that talk about the game or involved in the game of basketball, a lot of times they probably didn't play at, I'm not going to say a high level, but probably didn't play beyond, I want to say, middle school or high school basketball. And if they played high school basketball, that's great. But a lot of times, the people that cover the game didn't even play high school basketball. And I'm not saying you have to play the game to understand things, but I am saying that there's a level of advantage that you do understand, that you do have over the average player that did not play. Now, some of the greatest coaches in the world has never played basketball in their lives, but they're some of the best coaches, best front office, best GMs, but they've been consumed by basketball and they've been around in basketball a long, long time. So when Sue Bird talks about the eye test into reasons why she believes Caitlin is a rookie of the year, she's talking about the things that she sees Caitlin on the basketball court and sees her do on the basketball court. She's also talking about, in comparison to Caitlin, the things that she sees with angelreese on the basketball court. So when we talk about the eye test, Sue Bird basically said, I don't do stat comparisons. It can help when things are close. So when we're looking at stats, when you're trying to say who's the MVP, who's the defensive player of the year, who is the sixth man of the year for the WNBA or the NBA, sometimes stats can help when the argument is neck and neck where the situation is close. But she said to her, she does the eye test. And to me, Caitlin is the rookie of the year. So she basically endorses Caitlin to be the rookie of the year for this WNBA season. And I would say not only is she right, but I love her explanation on using the eye test, because when you use the eye test, you're basing on your knowledge and your ability and your overall playing experience. The reason why I think I have such a high knowledge of the game of basketball is not because I've been in the sports industry, working in the sports industry. It's not because I've been a media member. It's not because I served as Slam's first overall talent. But a lot of it has to do with me playing basketball since I was 4 years old and playing in college as well, and having opportunities to try out for a D League team before it was called a G League team. I'm kind of aging myself a little bit. And also having the opportunity to go and play overseas, even though I turned it down to start my career in the sports industry. So playing experience, you have a different type of knowledge and you understand what you're watching, and you watch things a little bit different than the average fan. So watching Caitlin, the reason why I always said that the Caitlin is not only she's a rookie of the year, but it should be a unanimous decision, is based on the fact of the matter is the first thing I always bring up is Caitlin sees schemes on the basketball floor. As great as Angelreese is, she does not see schemes on the basketball court because offensively she's just not at that level yet. Caitlin, as soon as she has the ball in her hands, the defense is locked in on her. As soon as she comes past half court, the defense is sending a double. As soon as she has a pick and roll, they're trying to blitz her and take the ball in her hands. She sees so many schemes throughout the basketball game. It's really unreal. And the fist of pressure that she faces on a nightly basis is uncomparable to a Angelreese. So when we talk about Caitlin when we talk about her greatness and her ability on the basketball court, a lot of times when we look at the eye test, the first thing I'm looking at is schemes defensively. And that's not even the things that I'm talking about offensively on the basketball court that Caitlin does. I'm talking about defensively what the opposing team does to Caitlin. That's the quickest way to tell when you're comparing players and you're talking about these awards and who you feel is better and reasons why you feel they're better. A lot of times people quick to go to the offensive side on the basketball court, but I go to the opposing team, the defensive side of the basketball court. What different schemes and challenges is this player facing compared to this other player? Or are they facing something very similar? And y'all get in the chat and let me know. Somebody says Caitlin is a Tupac of the NBA. Either you love her or hate her. Caitlin F these haters. Okay, I like that. I respect that. And also it's nice because, and y'all get in the chat with y'all comments, it's also nice because it's funny because Sue Bird is a UConn alum, and she's kind of giving Caitlin Clark this credit and endorsing Caitlin Clark. And we know a lot of the UConn alums while they were saying things and being in the media and kind of saying things about Caitlin Clark and this and that, because, UConn and the WNBA, they stick together like glue. But for as the eye test standpoint, looking at the schemes, looking at defensively what the opposing team is doing to a particular player, it's the quickest way to tell you how they feel about that player compared to another. And Angel Reese is incredible. She is great. But once again, she doesn't see any schemes defensively on the basketball court. Caitlin Clark sees schemes. Also, when we talk about the eye test, for Caitlin Clark is an initiator. She's responsible for creating opportunities for herself on the basketball court. When we talk about scoring opportunities, when we talk about getting to the rim, when we talk about hitting three-point shots, we talk about side steps, step backs, all those great things. She's initiating offense for herself, but also she's initiating offense for other people. So the playmaking ability, she's getting Boston, hitting Boston in stride to find when she's finding an open man, hitting Boston in stride, or Kelsey Mitchell in stride for the three-point shot, or Boston in stride for the layup, or the post fadeaway, like in the pick and roll and the pick and pop. Like, she does things on the basketball court, initiating offense and being this great playmaker. And a lot of times when she's playmaking the ball, she is the one that is excuse me, she is the one that is really setting up her teammates for success, because it's levels to playmaking, of course, but the way Caitlin Clark makes the ball, it's her passing ability, and her playmaking ability is some of the greatest I've seen in the history of just basketball. That's how great she is as a playmaker. She's only a rookie. I said in another stream that, and Sue Bird is arguably the greatest passer in the WNBA history. I think that Caitlin Clark is going to surpass her tremendously, because Caitlin Clark has the level of playmaking ability that I haven't really seen before in the women's game. And when I'm talking all-time passing, I'm talking LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Caitlin Clark, her passing ability, it's like she sees things before it even happens on the basketball court. She's that phenomenal. She's that special. So we're talking about schemes. We're talking about being an initiator. We're also talking about, for it's the eye test, overall skill set. So when you watch Angel Reese and you watch Caitlin Clark play, who is the more skilled basketball player? A lot of times when we have eye tests, and the eye test says that this player is a better basketball player, or the eye test says this player is a more skilled player, or the eye test says just because his stats aren't similar, because sometimes the eye test can be used when a player is averaging less stats, but is probably the better basketball player than this other player, even though they're having better stats than them. So the eye test is used for a lot of things, but in this case, for the eye test, it just really helps that Caitlin Clark is the eye test is kind of like really more complete compared to Angel Reese. When we were talking about the game of basketball, a lot of times the eye test, when we talk about overall skill sets, which I brought up, basically we're talking about skill set on the basketball court. Who is the better overall basketball player? And that's without question is Caitlin Clark. And a lot of times it's a hard comparison when we're talking about a post player and a guard, because at the end of the day, a lot of times guards are more skilled than big men, of course. But when we're talking about eye tests and we're talking about skill, we can match it up based on skill set within the guard position, skill set within the post player's position. Angel Reese, as great as she is, and she has a lot to improve on offensively, and she will get better over the course of her career. But right now, she is a double-double machine. She is a player that gets rebounds offensively, missed shots, grabs the ball, puts it back up, laying the ball up. She runs the floor really well. She has great hands to catch the ball. She needs to get better around the rim, of course, and improve on that aspect of her game, because she's a big man. She can't be shooting 40% from the field as a big man, but also she needs to work on her game to extend. She needs to work on the post at the first level of the basketball court first, working on the layups, finishing with either hand, and then extend to at least the second level in the basketball court to become a better basketball player and a more threat. Because when you become a more threat, that means you're going to start seeing more schemes offensively, because now the opposing team is not going to just think that she's an all-time great rebounder. We got to box her out, of course, and they're still going to do that because she is an all-time rebounder already. When we talk about rebounding basketball, she's one of the best in, gender regards of the gender. She's one of the best of all time already. But you make your game more versatile when you work on things that you need to work on. It starts at the first level, but then extending to the second level on the basketball court, then she'll see more schemes if her game develops. But Caitlin Clark is just, she's phenomenal. So when we talk about her creation ability, creating off the dribble, and being a four-level scorer is what I call Caitlin Clark. She's part of a rare breed. It's not that many four-level scorers in the NBA or the WNBA. That means when you're a four-level scorer, as soon as you come past the half court, you're a rocket launcher. You can score and you can hit that shot comfortably. And Caitlin Clark, once again, I've talked several streams and had several streams talking about Caitlin Clark. She still needs to get to the point where she's scoring better and scoring more like college, and also working on incorporating a floater and using the second aspect on the basketball court, the second level, when we talk about the mid-range as well, and not just always shooting threes. But she's still a four-level scorer. She's a threat as soon as she comes behind the half court to launch it for the logo. Four-level scorers are rare breeds in the game of the NBA, and they're even rarer in the game of the WNBA. I think Caitlin Clark may be the first and the only. I know Sabrina Ionescu hits logo threes, but it's not the same the way Caitlin Clark or her ability, because it's a difference between when you're wide open and you're shooting or hitting this three, or you're kind of already set. But Caitlin Clark is doing it off the dribble. And that's what makes you lethal for the fourth level on the basketball court. And just overall in general, we're talking about shot making ability and creation ability. So when we talk about all those things, when we talk about defensive schemes, when we talk about skill set, and we talk about being an initiator, all those things are pro Caitlin Clark. So when Sue Bird says the eye test, these are the things she's talking about on the basketball court, what her eye sees. And the average fan a lot of times just looks at stats. What does the stats say? Who is the better player statistically? Who has the biggest impact statistically? What does the stats say that if this player is averaging more points or more rebounds, does that automatically make them better than this player? A lot of times when you're just a casual hoop fan, you're just basing things on stats and basing on things on numbers, but things go deeper beyond the basketball. Things go deeper beyond, the box score. But unfortunately, if you look at this argument for as a rookie of the year with angelreese and Caitlin Clark, not only does the eye test back up Caitlin Clark, also the stats backs up Caitlin Clark. So which is why I said it's just like for both sides of the argument. And even Sue Bird, she says, well, I don't really look at the stat comparisons unless it's really close. I don't even look at team wins, because we know that situations in the NBA and the WNBA, it doesn't automatically make a player better if they're in a better team situation. So you look at certain players and you look at certain teams, a lot of times, are we going to really say that Pascal Siakam is a better basketball player than Paul George because his team did better than his team this past year and their stats are very similar? No, we are not. Because if you really look at the eye test and look at the things that you're watching, you're looking at Paul George's overall talent, skill set, and ability, it is better than Pascal Siakam, even though they average similar stats. And also Pascal Siakam's team was better and went on a deeper playoff run. So that's when we talk about why the eye test is so important. Before it's Caitlin Clark and angelreese, the eye test favors Caitlin Clark in every statistical category. Even if you talk about head-to-head matchups, which is even more important when we talk about head-to-head, especially when we talk about if their positions are the same. I know people like to get away from that, but growing up, head-to-head matchups matter. Like Michael Jordan going against Drexler matter. Kobe Bryant going against Dwayne Wade matter. LeBron James going against Kevin Durant matter. People will try to pretend like it doesn't matter, but head-to-head, especially if your positions are the same and you guys going neck to neck and guarding each other, that actually matters. Squid Zill said, I call Angel Reese AR-15 because the girl has firepower, but she lacks accuracy. She needs a point guard like CC to excel. And I love that comment. And I'm gonna get back to that because, and I'm gonna go over the stats first, and I'm gonna get back to that comment and get in the chat. I love when y'all are engaging and stuff like that because that is a beautiful, beautiful chat and also a beautiful topic. But for his eye tests and stats and things of that nature, and Superst mentions why she's endorsing Caitlin Clark because her eye says that Caitlin Clark's the rookie of the year. And I broke all those things down, the reasons why she says that and is stating that. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. She's winning at every major category. Head-to-head, her team has won 2 games and lost 1 against the Chicago Sky. Points, Caitlin Clark, 17.1 points per game. Angel Reese, 13.5. Rebounds, 5.8. Angel Reese, 11.9. That category she's won in. Assists, 8.2. Assists per game, Caitlin Clark. 1.8 for Angel Reese. 1.5 steals, Caitlin Clark so far. 1.4 steals, Angel Reese. 0.8 blocks, 0.4 for Angel Reese. 40%, 40.5 field goal percentage for Caitlin Clark. 40.2 for Angel Reese. 32% from the three-point line, Caitlin Clark. 20% for Angel Reese. 89% for the free throw line. 76% for Angel Reese. 50 effective field goal percentage, which accounts you scoring everything on all your shots on the basketball court. 40% for Angel Reese effective field goal percentage. All-stars, they both have 1 all-star selection this year, which is very impressive as rookies. And once again, all the stats, the eye test favors Caitlin Clark, and also the stats favor Caitlin Clark as well. And even this is the thing when we talk about the eye test, even though that statistically that Caitlin Clark is averaging 1.5 steals per game and Angel Reese is averaging 1.4, we all know that Angel Reese is still a better defensive player than Caitlin Clark. And that's when we go back to also talking about the eye test as well. Because a lot of times people think the eye test is only offensively, it's also defensively, and what you're impacting your skill set defensively. Angel Reese is a great defensive player, and she's a better defensive player than Caitlin Clark when we're talking about her ability to guard in the post, but also switch out on perimeter and guard perimeter guards at times as well and make it difficult for them. So she's a better defender than Caitlin Clark. But just because you're a better two-way player does not mean you're a better overall player as well. But Caitlin Clark, eye test says that she's a better basketball player than Angel Reese. The statistical stat says she's a better basketball player than Angel Reese this year. So when you hear Sue Bird say she goes off the eye test, and she wasn't even really talking about the numbers. She only looks at the numbers when things are really close. But unfortunately, they're not really close at all, because at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark, to me personally, I think she should be the unanimous rookie of the year, because things are just so lopsided when we really dive really deep into reasons why Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, the comparisons just really aren't the same. And they said that I call Angel Reese AR-15 because the girl has firepower. She has firepower. She has the attitude. She has the personality. She's a player that every team wants to have, but hates probably to go against, because she's going to give that energy 24/7, 7 days a week. She's like a Draymond Green. You love her on your team. You want to go to war with her. And she needs a point guard like Caitlin Clark to excel. And this goes back to the eye test as well, the things that Sue Bird is talking about. When we talk about playmaking ability and we talk about the difference between playmaking and passing, a lot of times there's two different types of playmaking when we talk about overall assists and players that generate a lot of assists. John Stockton was a player that generated a lot of assists for passing the ball, but he wasn't really setting up his teammate to score the ball. It was more so passing the ball and letting them do 1, 2, 3 moves and then get an assist. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese needs a point guard on her team that can play make and use her initiating ability and creation ability to get to the rim and suck the defense and then hit an Angel Reese for an open layup. Getting Angel Reese into the right spots in the right situation because the defense is so sucked in on that player's or point guard's gravity, and they lose sight on Angel Reese, and then Caitlin Clark can pass her the ball. So this comment is beautiful that Angel Reese does need a playmaker like Caitlin Clark. She needs a true point guard that can really set her up with their playmaking ability, because then we see her just going for right now, averaging 13 points. And basically that's just off of getting boards and missed shots and missed layups and putting them back up. Then you get her a true playmaker. Now we're talking about going from 13 to 16 to 17 the following year. Her potential, Angel Reese, is to me, a 22 and 10 type of player. She reaches her full potential, but she does need a real true point guard on her team to allow her to be more successful going forward in the future. And I love Carter. Carter, to me, has been excellent this year, but Carter isn't a true point guard like a Sue Bird or a true point guard like a Caitlin Clark, which once again goes back to Sue Bird's claim about the eye test. Her eyes tells her that Caitlin Clark is a rookie year, because when we look at overall ability and the things that she does on the basketball court, we're talking about a generational talent, a generational player. And that's just the truth. Caitlin Clark is the most popular player in the WNBA, but she's also one of the most talented and skilled basketball players in the WNBA, but also just in the world in general, because we haven't seen a player come in with her type of initiating ability, creation ability, and overall just talent and flair ever. To be honest, when we talk about the WNBA, she is groundbreaking. She is the first. She is going to be something that is really going to change the game and really help grow and elevate the game for a popularity standpoint, because the reason why people have got so excited with Caitlin Clark is everything to do mostly with her ability on the basketball court. All the extra stuff, the merchandise sales and things of that nature, that's extra. The fan base and stuff like that, and supporting her middle of America and the Midwest, that's extra. The reason why everybody's so excited about Caitlin Clark and excited about the WNBA, because it's her game. So when we have these conversations about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark for his rookie of the year, I don't even really go talk about the numbers, because you can dive deeper into the numbers and the analytics, and some analytics stats will favor Angel Reese, especially plus minus on a basketball court. But even that can be a faulty stat, because that doesn't really take account for your overall impact, to me, to be honest, personally, especially if you're not really being that initiator or creator, or you're catching schemes, or the defense is really worried about you offensively. So when we talk about Caitlin Clark and Sue Bird came out and said eye test, I love that so much, because the eye test is very, very important, because it's a lost art when it comes from people that's actually covering the game and talking about the game of basketball, because so many times a lot of people are watching, but not a lot of people actually know what they're watching or truly seeing. So once again, Sue Bird bringing up the eye test was chef's kiss to me, because that's the beauty of the game. It's not always about team situations. It's not always about stats. It's about your eyes and your ability, your skill set, your talent. Like, if you can understand that portion for a basketball player, and understand that their overall impact and overall gravity and just overall contribution, even when they don't have the ball. And this is a scary thing about it. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, and to me, she's one of the greatest passers I've already seen, and she's only a rookie. We haven't even tapped into what she can potentially be, once again, for us working at the second level on the basketball court, learning how to take floaters as well, and also playing off the ball. Because imagine if she gets to a point where not only she's a threat off the ball, but on the ball, she's a threat off the ball as well, then it gets even more scarier, because now we're talking about a player who is an excellent three-point shooter, a four-level scorer. Now we're talking about a player that can make the game easier for herself if she has another guard that can create the way that she can create. But she doesn't have that right now. She may never have that. But at the same time, this conversation for the rookie of the year, I think it's a wrap, and I think it's been a wrap for a while. And I think Caitlin Clark is unanimous rookie of the year pick for me, at least. And for a lot of people, especially based on the eye test and also the numbers. But most importantly, F the numbers. The eye test is Caitlin and it's not even close. So make sure y'all go tap in with me. I appreciate y'all hopping on this stream. It's your boy, Ma K. Smith. Go follow me on all platforms, AKIS NBA. If you got a niece, a nephew, a daughter, a son, you know, you work in education, you have kids, that you're around kids and things of that nature. I have a book online called Becoming Basketball. It is a book. Bob Jones, yes, yes. Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year. It's not even close. I'm gone, man. Peace.